Por favor, que sea este el momento.
Cuando necesite estar segura, use Clear Blue Digital con tecnología.
Is an informative video concerning the entity known as DamSeek. Please closely follow up with this videotape in order to attain the necessary information about the entity. The entity DamSeek appears to be a variant of the entity Seek. It resembles a big blob full of eyes, and it possesses a viscous liquid form. The entity has the ability to summon limbs anywhere throughout its body, and it also has the ability to summon child entities such as blobs and worms. The entity appears in door 200 of the mines in an area known as the dam. If players reach this area, they must abide with the following instructions in order to defeat the entity. Once players enter the dam, the entity will pour from the dam's spillways, filling up the dam entirely. This will initiate the first phase of the boss fight. In the first phase, players must rotate two valves located on the platform. These valves are marked with blue light from the entity guiding light. The valves may be located across from each other, forcing players to go through the entity. In order to do this correctly, players must jump on the debris scattered on the entity's surface. They must also pay attention to the flying goo hands, which are frequently summoned by the entity, as they will be targeting players. The landing spots of the hands are indicated by red lights, and players should steer away from said spots in order to avoid being caught by the entity. Once the two valves have been successfully turned, the entity will be partially drained through the dam's sewage. When this happens, the second phase of the boss fight will initiate. In the second phase, players must now rotate 4 valves instead of 2. The entity will now also summon a smaller blob that will slowly chase players, making their task harder. Once the 4 valves have been turned, the entity will once again be partially drained into the dam's sewage, initiating the third phase of the boss fight. During this phase, players are now required to rotate 5 valves, and as entity will make it far more difficult for players to complete their task by summoning an entity known as Seek Worm. The Seek Worm will be frequently jumping from the entity's body and targeting players. The landing spots of the entity are indicated with red lights, therefore, if your spot turns red, you must jump away from it immediately in order to avoid being caught by the entity. If players fall into the entity's goo, they will begin losing health slowly, and they must leave the goo immediately. Thank you for following up with this videotape. Have a great run and don't die.